If you don't think you can change, remember, actor and business mogul Mark Wahlberg was once rapper Marky Mark. Cue the music. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. Welcome to the podcast known as the Good Leader Podcast. We are on a mission to increase the world's leadership capacity. We know the world needs better leaders, and you are one of them. Glad to have you back, and glad to have you two back over there. Jess, new producer treat. How you doing? How you feeling?
I am so fired up.
All right, you are. Do you know who Marky Mark is?
I do now.
Do you know what his band was called, or who he rapped with? Okay,
I don't
excellent. Anj, Bell Cow, higher. How you doing over there?
Oh, good.
Good. That's a callback. That's what we call a callback.
I know. I had to wreck my brain.
Bell Cow, do you know who Marky Mark is?
I did not know
Mark
that.
Wahlberg. I gave that in the cold
I knew
open.
Mark
Wahlberg was,
but I didn't.
He first broke on the scene as Marky Mark. Do you know who his band was called? It's not actually his band. It's more like his dancers, like his crew.
No, I had no idea.
Really? Are you serious?
I do know he got discovered.
Yes.
And the Calvin Klein shoe.
Yes. You're
infamous,
on it. You're on it.
But I didn't know how.
Okay. All right. And welcome to the show. First time research Rochelle. How you doing over there, Rochelle?
Wow, feeling good.
Feeling good. Rochelle is a part of our new crack research team, and she's going to be on the podcast.
That's right.
So are you excited to be here?
I can Google things so quickly.
That's it. That's what I'm talking about. That's why you're
fast.
here. Well, do you know who Marky Mark is? Outside of what we just said, of course.
No.
Do you know who the Marky Mark and the...
I was thinking about this.
Okay.
If his band is not called the Wahlburgers,
okay,
I feel like that is a missed opportunity.
Oh, no. Wahlburgers, definitely, that's new. That's 21st century Mark Wahlberg. Mm-hmm. So it's Marky Mark and the... Let's take a guess. Let's just guess. Just try, throw it out there. Marky Mark and the...
Dinos.
Great guess. Bell Cow?
Beats.
Marky Mark and the Beats. I actually like that. You know what? Give yourself a bonus point.
That's a very 90s. That's very 90s.
Bonus point for that. Rochelle, you got to guess? Mm-hmm. Marky Mark and the...
I have no...
This is great. All of my old millennials... That was my idea. All of my Gen Xers, they're screaming at their radio right now. They're screaming at their device. I said radio.
They probably scream at everything I have to say.
They probably do. But they're definitely going like, it's Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. That's what it's called.
That was the...
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
And he was rapping?
Now you're making me doubt myself, but I'm pretty sure.
Crack research.
I'm pretty sure it's Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. Their biggest song. Do you know their biggest hit? Funky Bunch. Do you know their biggest hit?
Definitely not.
Good Vibrations.
It is the Funky Bunch.
Yeah, thank you. Good Vibrations.
I've actually heard that.
It's such a sweet sensation. It's such a... And then it's...
I haven't heard that version.
Come on. Here I am. That's Marky Mark singing. That's Mark Wahlberg. He's rapping the whole thing. That's Mark Wahlberg rapping that song.
I don't know that song.
Are you serious?
I only know the part that you tried to sing. No.
Oh my gosh, this isn't a cross-generational leadership episode, but I feel like it should be. You didn't know that song, Good Vibrations?
It is their top hit.
Thank you.
That is accurate.
That's the research we brought you on for. That's what I'm talking about. 1991.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I wasn't even born.
Oh,
Wild Side.
Why would I know it? Me either.
Do you know who the Beatles are?
Honestly, barely.
But you know who they are. Well, you weren't born.
Well, I think the Beatles are a little bigger than Marky Mark.
They are.
You can't argue
but
that
your
they
argument
weren't.
was, how can I know something that I wasn't born?
No, that was only a little bit.
I wasn't born.
That was part one of my argument. That wasn't the entire thing.
All right, let me get off this soapbox before it crumbles around me.
He's going to start crying, y'all.
No, on the last episode, we talked about knowing your priorities and knowing your season in life. But in true fashion, I wanted to not swing the pendulum too far because I am not just a throw up your hands and give up person, okay? And I didn't want to paint that picture, like, oh, well, just it's hard right now and we just can't do it. Well, I'm 23 and I can't do it yet. I'm 24 and I just can't do it. I'm 25 and I just can't do it. Well, I'm 30 and I can't do it. I'm 31 now I'm too old. Like, no. So at some point, there is this balance of knowing your priorities, but there is the optimizing element and saying you can transform, you can do more, you can achieve. Know what's important to you. So I don't want to throw everything out that we talked about.
All hope is not lost.
All hope is not lost. And some people like, well, I just couldn't, I just can't. Now, so Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. Who knew he would turn into Mark Wahlberg? Yes, of Wahlburgers fame, and he owns so many businesses now. And the reason I'm using Mark Wahlberg, one, because I do think it's funny transformation. And yes, you're right, Jess. Bonus points about the Calvin Klein ad. He was notorious. He would just pull down his pants mid rap session. That was his big thing. If you watch any YouTube videos, my mom really, it was a no.
I don't want to Google that.
Watching it was like that is terrible. Turn that off. Whatever you're watching. I remember like one time he performed at like halftime of an NBA. So we were watching the ball game, and then he's the halftime of the All-Star game or whatever. Mark and my mom was like, "Who is that? That filth." Because he would just like pull down.
Like all the way down?
His jeans like would go to his ankles, so he's showing off his like Calvin Kleins.
Yeah,
and
very
he's just,
swag.
And he's just rapping, but his pants are around his ankles. So you see, he's in his undies. He's not, naked. But
That's why I was afraid.
it was
to
really funny.
research that.
I mean, looking back on it now, it's hilarious. I'm sure he's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
are you kidding me? But the reason I bring up Mark Wahlberg today on the show, we are going to give
there's
you.
a reason.
We're talking about optimizing your life, and we're going to tell you the best book that I've ever found on optimizing your life. Absolutely, the number one best book to optimize your life, and my personal. I threw out Alex Hormozy, David Goggins. We're going to talk about Mark Wahlberg. I'm going to throw out my 5 tips, which are not as extreme as those, because have you heard Mark Wahlberg's routine, the daily routine? It's like 4 or 5 years old now that he threw it out there on his Instagram. It's been several years now, but
He put it on his Instagram.
it is really cool, actually. And I don't think Wahlberg, as opposed to I don't think he was telling people you need to do this. I think it was just the banter of like, wow, you are doing so much, you're achieving so much. What is your daily schedule? And people would talk about it a lot.
That.
And he is a very active father. I think he's got 4 kids or something, and he just does a lot. And he also golfs every day. So there was this kind of like mythical. Okay, so you're raising your kids, you golf every day, you've got like 100 businesses or whatever. How are you doing it all? So he just posted his daily routine. And so if you're out there, you can Google it up. I'm going to read it right now. 2:30 a.m., wake up. 2:45, prayer time. 3:15, breakfast. He's eating breakfast at 3:15 a.m., Jess. This sounds like you're 75 hard.
It feels like it almost at that. Eating breakfast has been the biggest,
Crazy. 3:40 a.m. to 5:15 a.m. is workout. 5:30 post-workout meal. So he's eaten twice, but I'm not even awake yet.
Yeah, me is
He's
getting
already
his
eaten twice.
protein in for sure.
6 a.m. he showers. 7:30 he's playing golf. 8 o'clock snack. 9:30 cryo chamber recovery. 10:30 snack.
The what?
11 a.m. family time / meeting / work calls. 1 p.m. is lunch. 2 o'clock is meeting and work calls. 3 p.m. pick kids up at school. 3:30 snack. 4 o'clock workout number 2. 5 o'clock shower. 5:30 dinner family time. 7:30 bedtime. Wow. That is not my life. What do you think about that schedule, team?
Is he playing golf every single day at 7:30 a.m.?
I mean, pretty much, yeah. And that, if I remember correctly, that was part of the ethos of why he posted this, because it was like, okay, you play golf every day? You pick up your kids from school? He's like, yeah, but the thing was, what he was saying in interviews was, yeah, but I'm very disciplined in my schedule. Like, my schedule is rigid. I do the same thing every day. And it was kind of like, you do? Prove, okay.
Also, he starts at 2:30 in the morning.
Well, he goes to bed at 7:30.
Yeah.
So
Still, that's crazy. All right, guys. I also just Googled what is cryotherapy because I was like, well, I don't know what
Yeah, that's probably fair for the
I don't know what
folks
that
at
is.
home.
Yeah, so I just Googled it. You step into a like pod thing and the temperature drops to below 100 degrees Celsius for what I don't know. How long? For X amount. I think you can only do it like 10 minutes at a time
I don't
or
even
something
think it's
like
10. I
that.
think it's more like 3 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes
from
at
what
a
I've seen and
time.
heard.
Is
And I
it
hear
like
it's great.
an ice bath?
I've had some
Is it
friends that
supposed
do.
to
Not
be
an ice
similar?
bath. You're not in water. You're in almost think of like dry ice, like that, like picture dry ice. How like, oh wow, the vapors and like, almost looks like fog. I hear it's great. I
It's
haven't
supposed
done
to
it,
be
but I've had
good
some
for
friends
their
that did.
healing process because it's such extreme cold that it causes like increased circulation blood flow.
Hey, it's
and,
good.
like-
It's good enough for Marky Mark. Good enough for me. That's what I say.
insane. I'm sorry. He does that for an hour? I'm concerned.
I don't think he's doing it for an hour.
He might not actually do it for an hour. Yeah.
It says
That's
an
just
hour
when he
on there,
does
but I
it.
think that's just when he does it. So he might not even have that at his house. So he might have it drive. Like a lot, you can have one. I
Okay,
think there's even
that
one in
makes-
Tulsa.
that makes me feel
There's
better.
a cryotherapy
There is,
place in
yeah, I've
Tulsa.
seen it.
So yeah, I think that's probably driving to it. I don't know Mark personally, for full disclosure. So I was just getting this off of his Instagram. But this schedule, I think, is what people think of when you hear optimize your life.
Yeah, for
I think
sure.
this is the
Totally.
caricature. This is the
For sure.
Cryo
oh man,
chambers.
that is it's cryo chambers or at least just cold plunges and waking up at 2:30 a.m., going to bed at 7:30. I think the truth is in the middle, because on the other side of this, if you're looking for somebody who's not living Mark Wahlberg's schedule, but I think I'm doing pretty okay, this is what I'm dealing with. And I'm going to pull up my soapbox here because this is what I'm dealing with. Anybody out there right now who's coaching a little league team of any kind,
Oh, my
all right?
God.
Little league team of any kind. Baseball, football, we're football and soccer season right now, basketball. I'm coaching a soccer team. And I got to tell you, people have lost their minds about little league stuff. Okay, I'm over it. I'm over it, and I'm done with it. And if anybody's with me, follow us along. And where can they follow us? Because I want to know what the people think about this. Where can they find us, Jess?
You guys can find us on all socials at Paradigm Shift Leadership.
Yeah. So okay, you would think I got an 11-year-old. You would think for an 11-year-old soccer. Okay, great. I'm volunteering to coach. Number one, key verb, volunteer. I'm just a dad.
Yeah.
My kid wants to play soccer.
Right.
She needs a coach. I'll be the coach. I don't mind. Well, that incurs you're going to have to be there at games. I'm going to be there anyway, so that's fine.
Right.
We're going to practice. Okay, practice 1 or 2 times a week. Okay, 2 times a week, I guess, is what most people do. Well, that's pretty standard. If you're doing less than that, you're going to be judged heavily. And
For 11-year-old, you should practice 2 times a week?
Yeah, we practice 2 times a week. And I will say, actually, it's kind of needed. So I don't hate that
He
part.
says, no, we got to make those 11-year-olds run. They're not. We got to keep going.
You do. It's only an hour at a time. So it's a 1-hour practice. And by the time everybody gets there and everybody leaves, it's really, you get 30 minutes. So you see what I'm saying? So optimize 2 times a week. I'm fine with that commitment, actually. I knew what I was signing up for. That part. The back end of this has been insane.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the shoe to drop.
Well, here's the text that I got today. This is on the group message. Coaches, make sure you enter player numbers in Got Sport. Oh, what's Got Sport? Glad you asked, Jess. It's a stupid website that I have to go to and pay attention to and enter in every criteria, like my blood type and all. It's ridiculous. Anyway. Make sure you enter player numbers into Got Sport so they can show up on your game card. What's a game card, you ask? Yeah, I got to print off a stupid game card every single game. I can't just say, that's my team. This is my team. There they are. We're here to play. Can't do that. We got to go through and make sure, mostly for the U10 and up divisions. Also, make sure all your coaches have a photo in Got Sport. You will need to print out your ID and have it on you at all games. You will also need to have player passes with pictures at every game, plus all your rosters and your game cards. Official rosters will be under the Fall East League, and be sure that you get everyone there on time every game so that we can check everyone's information.
Well, I'm exhausted already.
You ain't lying, sister. That's the problem when we talk about optimizing your life. Everyday people out there, not Mark Wahlberg, not David Goggins, not all these yahoos who are out there acting like, just wake up in the morning and why don't you play golf every day? It's because I'm trying to be a good dad and take care of my kid's soccer team, but I can't just show up and play soccer. I got to print off 50. I had 7 phone calls on Tuesday about it. 7 in the middle of a work day. I don't know. When do these people work, Jess, Anj, Rochelle? What's happening here?
They're not optimizing their life.
I was like, was it 7 separate people?
So how do you optimize your life? Yes, actually. So how do you optimize your life in the midst of that? That's what we're talking about today. This is for the everyday person out there. You're trying to be a good leader. You are a husband, a wife, a just everyday person. But you're trying to do your best in the midst of all that. When we get back from the break, we're going to give you the book that will actually help and my personal 5 favorite things that you should consider adding or changing to your daily routine.
The Good Leader podcast is powered by Paradigm Shift. Paradigm Shift is on a mission to unlock individuals' leadership potential. If you're interested in leadership development resources such as keynotes, cohorts, or workshops, visit www.ps.company for more information.
Welcome back. Okay, I'm off my high horse. Have you experienced this coaching?
I have refused to coach.
Good for you. Good for you.
I have talk about optimizing.
Somebody's got to do it though, Anj.
I know.
Someone has to coach.
Well, believe it or not, I have said no, and someone's done it every time.
Yeah, Jared's done it.
Did we not learn in the last episode that you cannot do everything?
You cannot do everything, but I will say, I mean, on the priority
you would
list,
also be a better coach.
Do you like it?
Me.
Do you enjoy it? Are you having fun?
I enjoy the coaching with the girls. I enjoy the field time.
But there is just like some things that come with it that are
and I
fun.
was prepared for the commitment of time, like knowing, wow, Jared, you travel a lot. You got a busy schedule. You're gonna be at the games and practice twice a week. Yes, and I'm gonna work hard. I recruited 2 other dads to help me as assistants because hey, I cannot be there. Like next week, I'm gonna miss 2 practices next week because I've got events. Fine, I took care of all that. I thought, and then all these people keep adding stuff. This is where the optimizing your life, it's not just you. People keep throwing crap at you, and you got to deal with that. That's what I'm saying. This is the everyday life. Mark Wahlberg, I just think some of these like celebrity people that we glamorize are living in bubbles.
Oh,
and
100%.
They're paying thousands and thousands of dollars for everyone to have a staff of people that are keeping the real everyday life stuff around them. Yeah. So, but then that's what I was talking about in the first episode when we're talking about apples to oranges. It's like, oh, how do they get things done? Well, they have a staff of 20 people. That's why Mark Wahlberg's playing golf every day.
Yeah.
You know?
He's got a private chef making his snacks.
No, if I were famous or rich, first thing I would have is a private chef.
Yeah,
Really?
Me too.
That's the first thing?
Cook my meals
Probably.
for me and tell me
That's
what
pretty
to
good,
eat.
actually. I like that.
I probably would.
That is like, it takes up so much in my day,
good. I'd have
especially
somebody-
with 75 hard.
Okay.
I have to cook
Wow.
every meal.
Especially with
It's coming
eating a
back.
good diet.
It's going to keep coming back. I like this.
Hey, optimize your life. Do 75 hard.
Yeah. I'd get somebody to mow my yard if I was rich and famous.
Right.
That'd be my
I
number
must
one
be rich
thing.
and famous.
You are. You're over there bankrolling,
Rich
paying
and famous.
$1,000. No big deal. Look at Ange. Just
One
like,
time.
get over
That
here.
was one
I need
single
8
time.
strapping young men to come over
One time.
and clean out my flower beds.
John's arm also
good
doesn't
views.
work right now. So to be fair, it's like, well, am I
hear
going
a
to
lot
let
of
this keep
excuses
going?
I hear a lot of.
That's tough.
I don't even need. Honestly, he could have been fully healthy and in shape. I'd be like, yeah, take
I think it's
1,000,
great.
take 2.
It is a good way. It is a good way
Whatever-
to optimize
whatever
your
you
life.
need.
Take whatever you need.
Please, just mow my
Ange is
lawn.
rich and famous over there. Yeah, take 2, whatever you need.
I don't have the private chef, so
It's just over there in my
I'm not.
pocket.
I'm waiting for the rich and fame to hit.
Well, I think we do compare to the rich and famous. Even, I'm using these, Mark Wahlberg is like an A-list celebrity. But whatever influencer that you're paying attention to in this ilk, even if it's, I'm thinking of even like, we homeschool our kids. So in the homeschool community, there are these homeschool gurus and like these people who it's like, wow, they've got it all together. And I'm like, well, probably they've got some stuff together, which is great. But then also, what's the other side that they're not doing? This is knowing your season, knowing yourself, knowing your priorities. But if we are going to, I've got my personal 5 things and I've got the book. What do you want to start with? You want to start with the book or you want to start with my 5 things? What do you want to hear first?
5 things.
Oh, you want to start with the 5
Yeah,
things?
just your off the cuff.
Okay, this is off the cuff then, because I'm in full disclosure. I have not arrived. I don't know everything there is to know, but I have had a lot of ups and downs. I'm 42 years old, fairly successful leader and business owner. Here are my 5 things. Number 1. These are the truly, I guess, what do you call them? Life hacks? Just things that, do this. Sleep. Number 1. Sleep.
Yeah.
I shared the story last time of my pastor who was trying to cut down 15 minutes off of his. I was like, eventually you're not going to sleep at all. He's like, yeah, I hope to cut off 15 minutes every year. I'm like, well, when are you going to stop doing that? What is the end goal? Sleep. And there is a lot of great research out there. Actually, research team, if you can find me anything to back
I'm
this up,
on it.
that'd be great. The secret weapon, if you want to be healthy. You were mentioning John last time.
Yeah.
If you want to be healthy
Sleep.
and always sleep is is kind of nature's superpower.
Your whole life revolves around
It should.
how much you sleep.
Well, and I know that we're coming to the place of where this is now common or a common like talking point. But for many, many, many years, this has not been the talking point of, wow, you should sleep. It's actually, no, you should not sleep. Like you can get by on 4
You don't need it.
You can get by on 3 hours. Well, we might be able to get by on 3 hours, but get by is kind of the opposite of optimize. So
Or there's all the brain research out right now.
Yeah, that's
about
what-
what
yeah.
sleep does with your brain
Exactly.
and what it doesn't do when you don't get it. Yeah.
So I sleep 8 hours a night.
Bonus tip, y'all need to be taking magnesium, all right?
Oh, wow.
that is
okay.
a great bonus tip.
Why
You
are
do.
y'all going to buy melatonin gummies when your body is magnesium deficient and you
Oh,
need to
wow,
go get
okay.
a
Or
tri-blend
any gummies, for that
magnesium
matter.
supplement?
Yeah. I don't even know.
Drop the gummies, grab the magnesium.
Yes.
That's our commercial for today, folks. Welcome to the Good Leader
Or
Podcast.
if you're having trouble sleeping, grab the gummies,
no, magnesium.
Okay, magnesium. I don't know this magnesium.
Not
I'll research the
melatonin, really?
magnesium.
No,
Yeah,
it's
I don't
great
know
for you.
about
It's great for
magnesium.
your sleep.
Change your life.
I don't have trouble sleeping at all.
Optimization.
So
I bet you don't.
I do not.
I believe that.
My head hits a pillow. I'm asleep. I sleep 8 hours. Easy. Piece of cake. I don't even worry about it. So sleep is my number 1. Number 2, sweat. Okay, now I put sweat on this one because I was like, okay, I don't want people because I don't want people to think like, okay, how am I going to fit working out in? So I'm actually being pretty liberal with what I mean. On days where I sweat, get my heart rate up and sweat. Some days that's playing basketball. Some days that's coaching soccer when I'm running around out there coaching soccer. Some days for me, it's when I'm just working outside. Like my exercise today was I got outside and I did physical labor. I think we are in an era where most people don't do physical labor every day, which is great. We have evolved to where we work with our minds. But man, I tell you what, there is very few things more rewarding. And I don't know what the psychology is behind this. Okay. So I could be wrong. This should be Jared just full of junk. But I think there is something primitive in our nature where I have a task, it is physical in nature, and I accomplish that task.
That's how I feel about my Excel spreadsheets.
You do?
Yeah, I really
Imagine,
do.
imagine if
I'm like,
you actually
look at
had
what
to work.
I created.
And that's true.
I had to work to get that.
That's my point, though. The mental
Battle.
work. No. I'm not saying that's not. I'm not trying to say that's nothing. I'm saying
I know what
I
you're saying.
agree with that.
I know
That
what
there is. But I think much of our work, though, is so ongoing. It is so that having this physical task in nature. Like, for example, I mean, there are times where I will choose to just, use an axe to chop down a tree. Why? Just for the physical nature of it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't checked it, if you haven't done it in a while, I would challenge you to try it. That's why it's Jared's list. And once again, I may be full of junk. I may be ridiculous. But man, I feel better about myself. So it's
To be
sweat.
clear, if we haven't done it in a while, you're saying sweat, not the axe with the tree.
I think both. I would challenge you. I would
Chop
challenge
down
you.
a tree
Bonus challenges
to
with
be
the
able to
axe.
sweat.
Hey, there are some things in life
can
I do
hit
say. It's
both.
like it's kind of like my bucket list. I'm like, man, in life, everyone should change a tire, chop down a tree, things like that. I got a few things on my
I
list.
will be
The
What else
doing
is
world-
on the
neither
list?
of
the
those
world,
things.
the world would be
Me
a better
too.
place
Me
if
too.
everyone in the world at some point, I'm not saying chop down a tree every day. I'm saying at some point I have chopped down a tree, I've fixed a flat, I have done these things.
And you know what? That's what men are for.
Maybe so, but I'm not sexist. I'm not sexist. I've got the girls out there with the axe. Get out there, chop that tree down,
Jocelyn
girl.
with an axe.
Absolutely.
She was the first
Get out
one.
there and
I'm
chop
like,
down that
there's
tree.
3 girls
Get out
that I
there,
can think
girl.
of, but
Yeah.
Jocelyn's the first one that can remember.
Y'all got it backward. It's
Okay, I
Adelaide.
do want to just circle back
Adelaide's
around
the one
to,
that
Well,
you want.
she's got
to
that
sleeping
Grit.
really
Yeah.
quick.
Oh, let's hear the sleeping
Yeah,
facts.
so I mean, there's so much research out there; it's crazy.
Oh, good.
But this is a great one. The Harvard Medical School just released an article.
Sounds
that's
legit.
Exactly. They have a lot of peer-reviewed sources, so
Okay.
I like those. And they're like the cost of sleeping less than 8 hours a day is linked to all of these different things. We have obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and hypertension, immune function, like just goes down the list.
It's perfect. See, and I don't have any of that. It's because I'm sleeping 8 hours.
I was about to
Good for
say,
you,
and
Jared.
in my season of life when I was not sleeping 8 hours, I had a couple
lot of
of
those?
those.
You did?
A couple of those in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Is depression, anxiety on the list too? Because I bet that's
Gotta
gonna
be.
hit.
I think if
I
it
bet
kept
that's
going,
gonna
It's
hit.
gotta
Totally.
be.
Yeah.
I would think
Bet
that'd be
it's
pretty
gonna
high.
hit. Yeah.
I would think a lot of, I mean, this is once again, this is Jared playing like, I play a doctor on TV. I actually think I think that would be very high correlation. Like,
It is. Yeah, it is.
I mean, because one of the signs of depression is you're sleeping all the time. I mean, I think that's a natural.
'Cause you're
your
not getting
body's
good sleep.
fighting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So anyway, all that being said, sleep number 1, sweat number 2, read is number 3. Read.
Oh, I love that.
Be a reader. Yes, and you don't have to read a lot. I mean, there's this program that challenges you, I think, to read 10 pages a day. Does anybody know what that's called? There's
75
one.
hard.
Thank you. That's the one.
That's the one.
Oh, I don't even
I'm
have to
doing
look that
it.
up.
Jumped on it.
Currently.
You-
I was about to Google.
And once again,
Rochelle
I
was
was
really
ready.
going to Google.
This is.
No, I knew. I felt it coming. I was
hey,
like,
I'm here for you, Jess. I'm a
it's
team
here.
player. I'm a team player.
If everybody
Rochelle.
didn't know, I'm on
No, this is-
75 hard.
And this is to remember. This is to remember. What I do love about 75 hard is if somebody is on 75
You know
hard,
they are.
you will know it.
Yeah.
You do not have to ask. You don't have to wonder. Like if you're wondering, like, oh, I wonder if they're on 75 hard. No, there's no wondering. They're going to let you know.
And you just can spend the whole day comparing
It's the
yourself
same
to
thing.
me.
It's the same thing with the CrossFitters. Like, oh, you don't have to wonder
That's so true for CrossFit.
Are they doing CrossFit? They will let you know. They'll
Yeah.
let you know in a hurry.
Do you
Okay.
guys remember Whole 30? I feel like it's like that.
Oh, I do that once a year, so.
People that did
Daniel fast?
they were also the same thing. They're
It
like, oh
basically
yeah, my
is.
Whole 30.
Yeah.
But I do it for 30 days, yeah.
Okay. Remember these are Jared's optimization tips. So optimizing, this is not where I'm saying if you do these things, you're going to be running on full tilt, amazing. Really, my optimizing is, the actual definition of optimize. I looked it up in preparation for these conversations because we kind of gave our connotations, our anecdotal, what does it mean? But the actual definition is to make the best or most effective use of. To make the best or most effective use of. And this is why prioritizing your life, I'm giving you my thing. If you want to make the best or most effective use of just life in general, being a leader, you want to be a better leader, sleep, sweat, read. Okay. Number 4. And by read, I would also count audiobooks. Totally fine. So read.
Some
I do think that
information.
there is power in physically reading, but if you're like, oh gosh, you know what? Just consume actual literature in some way, books in some way.
Can I
Not just
ask
literature.
why you put read
Absolutely. Just as one of my
as
5.
the researcher? Yeah, in me. Why is that?
Once again, I don't have research to back it up or
Sure.
anything. This is just Jared's list.
I'll fact check you.
Well, these are things that if I do this in my day, I feel better about myself at the end of the day, no matter what else happens. So if I sweat, no matter if it's a terrible day and I got nothing else done, I'm like, well, I worked out today. I feel pretty good about myself. Well, I when I don't sleep would be the opposite. It's like, oh gosh, I slept for 4 hours. That was terrible. I'm feeling like crap all day today. When I read, I just feel accomplished. And I feel like I've learned, I've grown. Now, once again, I don't have any research behind this one. This is just Jared's. And also, I have found that if I want to be, especially leadership, if I want to be an effective leader, there is a great impetus. We live in creation culture, content creators, create. There's a great power in being a curator, just being someone who curates information, who says, you know what, I don't know, but I've read a great book about that. Or what you said.
Picks up the points and connects them and delivers the message.
And so when I read, the more I'm able to connect with a variety of people and the more I'm able to get my ideas out there.
Yeah.
I specifically, if you were to take this further, I try to read a diversity of things. I try to read things that aren't just the way that I think. My most famous example is, what's that book you had me read, Jess?
Untamed.
Untamed.
By Glennon Doyle.
Untamed, with the subtitle, this is not...
That story...
This book is not Jared Murr.
It's so funny.
But I read it, and I was like, okay, this is challenging. I listened to it.
I can't believe you...
I hadn't even read it.
You really read it cover to cover?
You stopped,
chapter?
didn't you?
I stopped about 3/4 of the way through, just because I stopped most books 3/4 of the way through. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like I'm sick of this book and I'm not reading. I just kind of trailed off.
There's just various parts of it that I was like, wow,
I read the first half.
You read some of the graphic stuff.
Yeah, that's what
there's some really
I remember
graphic
you
stuff.
telling me about the graphics.
That's what I'm thinking.
This is a G-rated
That's
podcast for the
crazy.
kids out there, but there was some
stuff that I'm like,
absolutely.
oh wow,
Yes.
you read that.
I hope it opened your mind a bit.
Oh, totally opened my mind. It opened my mind in many ways, confirmed some things for me. So all sorts of stuff. But to the point, when you do read, I feel like this statement is true and almost inarguable. I am a worse leader because I read too much. Well, that's not true. So that's why.
I thought you were actually making that a point.
No, I'm saying that's inarguable. No, that's ridiculous. So if I read, the converse has to be true. Yeah. Well, if I read, I am going to be a better leader. It's not going to make me worse. So those are the reasons it makes my list.
Well, interestingly, the research does confirm that. It says here the reality of reading or reading fiction can in fact make you a better leader. So this is a article research done by the IESE Business School.
Love them.
Which is also great. And they're like, reading can help you navigate complexity. It can help you give greater insight into people. Statistics say that leaders who read are more empathetic and can better comprehend the world.
I don't know about that one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I would say connect. It gives you the ability to connect.
Yeah.
If you don't think I'm empathetic now, imagine if I wasn't reading.
Hey, we're getting there.
So there you
somewhere.
Go. Take that.
Maybe you should read more. Could you read some more? That'd be great.
Take that. If you don't think I'm an empathetic leader, I think you need to have other bosses.
I think you are externally.
I'm just joshing you.
Externally. All right, we'll explore that.
I didn't know if you were going to pick that.
A whole episode on that one.
Number 4. This is my tip. Number 4. Now, I still believe this is not in contradiction to number 1. You should sleep. You should get 8 hours. I would say 7 to 8 hours. I get a full 8, but I would say 7 to 8. Most of the research for sleeping goes, it says 7 hours is what you need. So get your 7 hours of sleep. But number 4, get up earlier than you have to. I'm not saying get up at the crack of dawn. I'm not saying be Mark Wahlberg at 2:30. But if you want to optimize your life, if you are the type, because I've lived both ways. Hey, I have to be there at 8:30. It's a 30-minute drive. I'll wake up at 7:58. Takes me about 2 minutes to throw my clothes on, brush my teeth on the way out, and I'm in the car and on the 30-minute drive. I have lived that life. Okay?
I feel attacked.
That's okay. That's okay. It's okay if you're living that life.
I feel seen and attacked.
But I don't think that's the optimal way to live. Right. So my tip is get up earlier than you have to. And that means different things for different people. For me, my optimum, when I'm really running, it's 2 hours before I have to be wherever I need to be. Now, like that may depend on the drive, if I have to drive 2 hours that day. But let's say your typical morning day, it's like, oh, I have to be there at 9 o'clock. I get up 2 hours before that at least, so that you can have a morning routine of some kind, even if it's not religious, even if you're not sticking to it every single day. But it is time to wake up, process the day, read potentially, pray, meditate, just to have that space. If you are currently living a life where you are, I'll hit the snooze button until I absolutely can't snooze anymore.
I don't know why you're looking at me when you say that.
You are a victim.
You gave yourself away.
I said, no, it's true.
You gave yourself away. Now, this is coming from someone.
75 harders over here.
We talked about Marky.
Okay, yeah.
No,
Cool,
blah,
cool,
blah.
cool.
We talked about Marky Mark.
I almost shared an opinion, and I was like, God. I can't talk about it anymore.
What? What opinion? Go for it.
A 75 hard
She was going to compare her life
again?
before 75 hard and after.
Actually, honestly, I don't mind because that's good.
Is that what you were going to
Yes.
do? I knew it.
Let me hear. Okay, that's good for people to hear.
She
though.
has real life proof.
I'm not dissing the programs. I'm just making fun of people who do them. Go ahead.
I have been waking up 2 hours earlier.
Oh, okay.
And I have been going on a walk every morning.
Really?
It has changed my life.
Wow, that's
Like,
a bold statement.
I wake up.
No, it does.
I walk, clear out my thoughts, like going on my walk, or I'm listening to music, or I'm listening to a podcast, and I'm walking.
Good Leader podcast.
Never.
Always.
And then it's like miraculously, I have more time for everything in the morning.
Now that is great.
It's like there's just so much time in the world. I can cook breakfast. I can actually like do my hair, do my makeup, shower. Like, I'm like, where did all this time come from?
Yeah.
I've been waking up at this time all the time, but it just seems like time goes by so much quicker. But I just feel like my brain is awake and optimal.
You said something that I believe is profound, and I have seen this true over and over again. And you stated it in a way that you said, miraculously, I have more time for everything else. Mm-hmm. That is so true.
Yeah.
So if you do want to change now here's the thing: don't negate the sleep. If you're like, oh, I'm barely getting 5 hours of sleep. Well, then Mark Wahlberg goes to bed at 7:30. Mm-hmm. You can go to bed earlier, which my number 5 is really going to help you go to bed earlier. But get up earlier than you have to. Get up earlier than you have to, because like you said, Jess, it's kind of like if you have enough money, you don't have many problems. If you got enough money to solve a problem, you don't have a problem. I really like that quote because it's true. It's like, back in the day when I was broke and had no money and my car broke down, holy cow, that is a hard life. That is a huge problem.
Yeah.
Well, now that I have money to fix my car, it's an inconvenience. It's no longer a problem. It's the same thing with time. It's like if you are pushing the limit every single time, you're like, I don't have time for anything. When you wake up earlier than you have to, it's like, wow, I magically have more time, miraculously have more time for all the things throughout my day. So that's my 4th tip. My 5th tip is not go to bed earlier, but this will help you. It's
magnesium?
No, not magnesium.
Okay.
I didn't know that one. I'm going to take that tip. I'm going to go buy me some.
That is bonus points by Ariel right there.
By the right some magnesium.
Because some magnesium.
I just take NyQuil. Tell me to go to sleep.
Well,
See, that's your problem. You need magnesium.
I might. I don't have a problem sleeping.
Okay, I'm ready.
Never
I'm
mind.
ready.
Create no phone zones.
Yeah.
Create
Like
no phone
certain
zones.
times you're not on it.
Places. I think places is more powerful than
Certain
times.
places you're not on it. Okay.
Like and this is one where I would say I am not following this rule very well at the moment. There are different rules that I follow better at different times in my life, ebb and flow. But there have been times in my life where I followed this rule and it's very good, very powerful. For example, no phones in your bedroom. So don't do it. And I think the place is more powerful than the time because it's easier to restrict yourself.
Yeah,
like
I
it's a
think
more
so, too.
obvious like, oh, I'm in the bedroom. It's not like, oh, well, it's 7 o'clock, put my phone down.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what if you get a text message? Whatever. Well, great. I'm only on my phone if I'm sitting at the kitchen table. And that forces me to go to bed earlier, not just death scroll right before I go to bed or watch a show right before I go to bed or neglect my partner because we're both sitting there on our phones. And I'm saying, if you go, oh, I use my phone for my alarm. I use my phone for this. I need, what if somebody calls me? Chances are you have a bathroom very close to your bedroom. Bathroom is not a no phone zone. Bedroom is a no phone zone. So yeah, plug it in right next to your bathroom, turn on your alarm, turn up your ringer, whatever you need to do. But if you are looking, these are life hacks. These are like, wow, that would probably change my life.
That also like kind of creates like a safe space.
Yeah.
Like you walk into your room and like you don't have to worry about your phone for the time you're in there.
Well, phones have replaced TVs in a big chunk of our life. But
For sure.
man, for the first like 15 years of our marriage, Jen and I had a rule that we did not have a TV in our bedroom. And it was glorious. It worked really well. It forced us to communicate with each other, and it was just a better life. So those are my tips. I've got a bonus one if you want it. Those are my 5, but I do have a bonus.
Yes.
Okay, my bonus. Now, once again, this is about life hacks. Optimize your life. We don't even have time for the book today. We're just going to wrap up with this. The bonus one is send a daily meaningful call or text message. And once again, these are things that I've learned. This is just anecdotal for me. This is not about running on full tilt, achieving everything you want to achieve. This is about making your day better, enhancing your life, making the best. Go through your phone and it's simple. Pull up your contacts, scroll through your contacts and go, I haven't talked to that person in a while. I need to talk to him or her. I should shoot them a text. This could be if you're like, I should call my mom more. I should talk to my dad. I should call that friend from college that I haven't talked to in a while. I had a great talk with a friend of mine. Shout out, friend of the show, Matt Ham, just out of the blue yesterday. What did we talk about? Nothing. Just caught up. Hey, how's it going? And I did this second tip, I guess, sub tip. Do it while you're driving. Not texting. Don't text and drive.
That's optimization.
But do it while you're driving.
That's how I think about it, like fitting things into spaces where like you wouldn't typically do it, but it's like multitasking.
Well, I got all kinds of tips for that.
That's kind of how I view it.
I never waste a drive.
Yeah.
Never, ever, ever. I never waste a drive. I never waste a lunch. Okay?
So do you call people as you drive?
You better believe it. You better believe it. I am planning my phone calls. Even Anj saw it yesterday. I was on my way out and I said goodbye to our directors. We're in a meeting. And Anj, you remember what I was doing when I said, yep, about to jump in my car and
go call the coaching call.
Coaching call. I had a coaching call with somebody, but I was like, I knew it wasn't going to be something where I didn't take notes. It was more just touch base. And I was like, I can optimize. I can do this in the car. Anytime you're in the car, you should be making phone calls if you are in business. Anytime.
Especially if you're in sales.
That's what I'm saying. If you're in sales, in business.
Well, we have like a long commute.
But even networking. But even if it's just, because I do, I mean, a lot of us are like, oh, well, I listen to podcasts and I listen to this during that time. I get it. And that's fine. I'm not saying that's terrible. But I'm saying if you really want to optimize, I think you would find a lot more fulfillment, even if it is like, oh, well, today on this call, I'm going to on this drive, I'm going to call this old friend or this family member or someone that, even if you just think like, wow, if I called my mom every day, just once a day when I drove, she would love it. She's not going to have anything, but things like that.
Dina talks to her grandmother on the phone every Tuesday morning.
She does. Tuesday morning.
Yep. Every single on the Tuesday morning.
Dina has that scripted on every Tuesday morning.
Yep.
All right, so that's my list. What are your thoughts? What do you like the most? Any questions? I like the Q&A. That's making me think of other things that I think people don't really think of. But never waste a drive, never waste a lunch. Peter Drucker says never waste a lunch, so I stole that from him. But my interpretation of that is I am either eating with one of our team members or a network. Like I never eat alone on lunch.
Well, I love that because I think that's my takeaway is like I want to wake up 2 hours before I actually need to be somewhere. So that's an action item for me. But
I like it.
Practical. But also just thinking that optimizing your life actually means that you are loving the people in your life. And like that connection is what is making your life better. And that's so true. There's so many studies on that I can't pull up right now, but that's real, is saying like actually community and connection is what brings meaning. And I think that's a huge part of optimization, right? Just like that full, healthy, whole life. So I'm like, man, I'm going to start calling people. I'm going to make a list and go down it and be like, all right, next on the list, you're getting a phone call.
I can't wait to hear the report. That's going to be good. I think you'll like it. It's one of those things where when we talk about this optimizing, I guess to me, the lowest hanging fruit that I would encourage anyone to consider is what is going to add to my life that I don't have to add anything for it. Like, in other words, I don't have to say, oh, like working out. Okay, well, you might have to add time to that. But the first things are, wow, like this, a no phone zone. Well, I don't have to add anything. It's just like, make your bedroom a no phone. Set that boundary. And that's not having to add. You're not adding anything. Yeah. You're changing something, but it's not adding. Hey, when you're driving, make phone calls to people you care about. Oh, that's not adding. That to me is if you're looking for somewhere to start, do those things. It's not the gigantic. I mean, hey, if you are doing 75 hard, God bless you. And I do think that's great. But it is 75 hard. I'm giving you the quick and easy. You want to optimize your life in simpler ways? Here are a few things. Anj, what do you like best about my list? Sleep, sweat, read, get up earlier than you have to, no phone zones, daily meaningful call or text.
I like all of them. I agree with all of them.
Well, great.
I think in working with you, I've kind of had to learn to do all of them. So I think I've seen you do it in real life. A big part for me as well is I think I'm going back. Last episode, we talked about that circle, the wheel. Which I've done that activity before, and you measure it in, 1 to 100. And sometimes those things are low and they just are going to be in that season. But sometimes they're lower. And I think they often ask you, like, which one, if you could raise it up higher, would you want to? Yep. And so I think knowing those answers first also feed into this list even more because, like, I'm thinking you said different for you, but in your season right now, like, oh, I don't have any friends. And I was thinking to myself, how have I actually maintained friendships in all of if I looked at my life, I do not have a lot of time to maintain a lot of friendships. It really has been almost somewhat of like the blessing of our hour commute. I'm often using those phone calls for those friends. And that's typically when they're leaving work, I'm leaving work, and we just happen to connect in those times. It doesn't take time away from my kids, doesn't take time away from my spouse, doesn't take time away from, the other things I'm doing. So I can like visibly look back and see, oh, that kind of space on that circle has probably maintained itself over the span of time because of that really small thing. I didn't even realize I was doing it, but it does add value in that way.
Very cool. I like it. Jess.
Get up earlier than you have to.
Change your life.
Change my life.
Fired up. I love it. I'm fired up. I'm more fired up than I've ever been. I hope that these have been helpful to you, practical. On the next few episodes, we're going to keep talking about how to optimize your life in all of these things. You should never feel guilty, but if you feel convicted, then it's probably showing you, wow, this is an area that is important to me. And if something is important to you, it should be important enough to do something about. So whatever it is, big or small, do something about it and be a good leader. What does external empathy mean? It's ridiculous.
Externally. Well, externally.
Internal empathy.
I like how that's still something that you're thinking about.
That sounds selfish.
You came back to it.